The Washington Capitals began a rivalry that provided a lot of joy for Penguins fans and mostly heartache and frustration for Capitals fans.
And that trend began on an April night in 1991 when we were desperately in need of a win in Game 2 at the Igloo. Some quick thinking and some brilliant teamwork made the difference in the end.
It was another important growing experience for a team that was just learning how to overcome adversity. Game 2 of the 1991 second-round playoff series between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals is next on Penguins Classic TV. Well, that word classic is thrown around pretty liberally these days. But I'm going to tell you, this game you're about to see tonight between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals is truly a classic, a tremendous hockey game. I'm with Bob Airy, of course, as always, and Phil Bourque, two former Stanley Cup champions, and two guys who played integral roles in this game you're about to see tonight on Penguins Classic TV. And boy, guys, you talk about fire wagon hockey. You guys played it that night against the Washington Capitals.
Well, Borky, I'll tell you, I love watching this hockey game, Staggy. This was up and down hockey. Just, you know, the last shot wins kind of hockey. Goaltenders Frankie Pietrangelo was in, and Donnie Beaupre for the Washington Capitals. The Capitals, to me, had a tremendous hockey club. They dominated Game 1. They had goals from 3 separate defensemen. And for us, we had to figure out how we were going to create offense. At the same time, you know, try to close that back door, Borky.
Well, what back door? It was always wide open with our defense. It's unbelievable. As you'll see in this game, our defenseman, led by Paul Coffey, was just absolutely phenomenal. It was just incredible. And of course, with Mario Lemieux out there and Bobby playing on his wing and Ronnie Francis. I mean, we were just loaded offensively. But we left the barn door open quite often. And poor Frankie Pietrangelo stood on his head quite often in this hockey game. But you'll see as the game goes on, the Caps started to read that, and they really start coming on.
I'll tell you, you know, after Game 1, which the Penguins lost 4-2, the Caps came from behind to win that game in the third period. Paul Coffey said, we didn't play to win. He said, you know, we got to play our best players. And, of course, he had won Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers, so when he spoke, everybody listened. And it was a calculated move by Paul Coffey. He knew that it would be in the papers. That was the way he wanted to get his message to the coaching staff. And then Paul Coffey put his legs where his mouth was in this game because he was absolutely flying, guys. But, you know, there were other adjustments made, too. A couple of different faces in the lineup, including one guy who would play a very important role in this hockey game.
Yeah, certainly Randy Gillen, a guy that didn't play too much, didn't play in Game 1. Scott Young out, Randy Gillen in, and there was a defensive change as well. Peter Taglianetti had to go out, and we had Grant Jennings move in, Staggy, and obviously he was a part of a big trade that happened during the season. So he was able to insert it into the lineup, brought some toughness there with Tags out of the lineup. And Tags was a pretty tough guy as well. But, you know, I tell you, this was a very important game, as we're going to see as the game goes along, how important it was just those role players like Randy Gillen to come in, win a big face-off, didn't play for a certain amount of time, and then came up huge as the game transpired.
And, of course, the Penguins would gain a psychological edge over the Washington Capitals as time went on in the 90s, all the way into the 2000s with all the playoff series that these two teams played against one another. And I think that this game tonight really did kind of set the tone for that psychological edge that the Penguins were able to gain on the Washington Capitals, because the Capitals did everything in their power. I mean, they score a ton of goals and they still can't win the hockey game, right? Yeah, on Classic TV, it's always a win for the Penguins, so don't worry. We're not giving anything away here. We know that you know what happened, but it's a tremendous game. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and the goal judges better be ready with that finger to turn on that goal light, because there's a lot of goals coming up tonight on Penguins Classic TV. Penguins Classic TV on FSN Pittsburgh is brought to you by the Mountaineer Racetrack and Gaming Resort. We'll leave the slots on for you. By Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. By Dodge, grab life by the horns. By Penn Telecom, seriously dedicated to business communications. And by the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Get a better read on Pittsburgh sports in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Donnie Beaupre with a record of 5-2 in the playoffs, 2.36 is goals against average, and he is second now in the overall goals against mark in the playoffs to date. Penguins will be sending Frank Pietrangelo, who checks in with a record of 2-1. His goals against average 2.00, but he's not played enough games to get registered as the #1 goaltender in playoff competition. John Casey of the North Stars in at 2.30 through 7 games, just 0.06 of a point ahead of Beaupre. Terry Gregson, the referee, Ronnie Finn, and Kevin Collins, the 2 linesmen. And here we go. The Penguins start Lemieux, Recchi, and Barbieri out here. Puck play to the Penguins in to begin the game. And Grant Jennings back on defense. Returning again to the Penguin lineup. Was out quite some time with a bad shoulder. And it's whacked by the Capitals into the Penguins in. Leach again after it. Right behind the net. He played a strong game against the Rangers in their closeout victory win in the 4-2 series win over the Rangers. Recchi down the left wing, comes down the near side. He is bumped heavily by Kevin Hatcher. Puck into the near corner. It goes behind the net. Now it goes to Kelly Miller. Around to Calle Johansson of the Capitals. Swinging up the left wing over to Kevin Hatcher. And Hatcher moves it back to Kelly Miller. Sharp pass right wing into Pittsburgh territory. Larry Murphy defensively for the Penguins. Throw it up to center ice, and the Capitals capture it there. Rod Langway is out here with Al Iafrate. And Langway, the Capitals captain, relays it back to the Penguin right wing corner. Off the boards where it's controlled by Jaromir Jagr. No score, just early moments of the first period. Murphy overskated the play. Dino Ciccarelli taps it back to his own line to Rod Langway. Now to Al Iafrate, and Iafrate throw it ahead of the Penguins in, and Paul Stanton defensively, the Penguin rookie. Take it to the near corner. Dale Hunter comes up with it. He centers it back, but the Penguins are right there. And Brian Trottier sneaks it back to the blue line, but down out. Iafrate shoots it. That'll miss. Capitals come out here with a little momentum going against the Penguins in the begin period. Number 1. Lee pass to Coffey. Though through the defense comes to the Capitals. He shoots and he missed the net. Coffey had an opportunity there, going right down the slot. Langway has lost his stick. Here's Trottier with it. Shoots it right on him. Beaupre makes the glove save. Off by Loney now, and the Capitals control. And Dale Hunter to the right wing to Dino Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli steps up to the Penguin line. He is turned around, so Coffey missed the net, and then Trottier denied by Donnie Beaupre. Penguins set up shop from their own end. Coffey relayed over to Paul Stanton. He'll slide it up into the Capital zone.
I'm not surprised, Mike, that Bob Johnson has reunited Trottier, Loney, and Jagr because he felt he needed better forechecking, and that's the best forechecking line the Penguins have.
Pavanka goes into the Penguins' end. He'll leave it in the slot, but right there is Jagr. He'll just tap it off the sideboards. It goes after his own pass. Jagr back now to Larry Murphy, and Murphy comes up. He'll wrap it into the Capitals in. John Drews swing it ahead to center to Michael Pavanka. 17:51 to go in the first period. No score. Kristich on left wing. What a strong game against the Penguins in game 1. Here's errant pass cut off by Joey Mullen. Now up on the play to Kevin Stevens. Try to beat Hatcher. Get it up to the net. Beaupre whacks it away from the goal. Back into the near corner it goes. That's Langway's stick still back in the near corner of the Capital zone where he left it. Johansson defensively being pressured by Joey Mullen and Ron Francis. They dig for it. Squirts free, and Dmitry Kristich swings away with a nice little maneuver, and an outlet pass now right wing to John Drews, who will simply shoot it into the Penguins' end. Murphy again back to play the puck. Penguin defenseman around to Joey Mullen, and his attempted pass off Lawler's stick and up into the seats. 17:14 left here in the first period, and still no score.
A lot of Coffey's shots have been sailing on him during the playoffs, and he told me, he said, I don't know if I'm shooting it from down by my skates enough. We talked about it. He said, I might be holding it out for too far when I let it go, and he's getting underneath it and kind of shoveling that puck instead of snapping it from down by his feet. But he's having problems right now seeing the puck down by his feet, so he naturally may be holding that puck out a little further when he lets the shot go so that he can see it on his stick. And it just may be something that's developed because of his problem with that visor. Although he was doing it before he hurt his eye, really.
Trottier spinning the puck to center red from the face-off. Ciccarelli coughed it up, and Jagr now takes possession. Jaromir Jagr of the Penguins cut around Dino Ciccarelli. We got Trottier's line matched out of here against Dale Hunter's. Trottier takes the pass from Jagr, steps his way into the Capital zone. Now the right wing to Troy Loney. Loney to the right point of Samuelson, and it went off his stick. Right back through to center, and Dale Hunter giving chase, and Grant Jennings beat him to it. Waited up the sideboards at center. Jagr comes up with it again. Jagr's flying out here in this first period. Jaromir breaks into the Caps in. Beat it left wing corner to Brian Trottier. Trottier of Pittsburgh. Turned around, and the Capitals come storming back. And here's Ciccarelli coming against Coffey. Shoot it around to the left wing corner. And after it'll be Nick Kyprios. Kyprios of Washington decked on the play by Samuelson. Still a loose puck. Penguins in. Left side. It comes now. And a shot from the left wing boards. Misfires. Along the right point. It goes to Kevin Hatcher. Hatcher put it down the boards and around the net. And it bounces up. And play is stopped. It's an offside call here.
We move to further action in tonight's presentation on Penguins Classic TV.
Here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, game 2 of this series. Penguins scratches Jimmy Pack, Barry Peterson, Jay Caulfield, Ken Priestley, Jamie Leach, Randy Hillier, Peter Tagonetti, and Scotty Young, along with Tom Barrasso. Barrasso not the backup tonight, so it would lead us to believe that he probably will not play against the Capitals on Sunday. You would think that Bob Johnson would probably want him as a backup in one game prior to that. And here it goes to the right of the goal. Picked up now by Alan May. And May now of Washington steps to center, and he shoots it back to the Penguin left wing corner. Larry Murphy corrals it. Boston has scored against Montreal. Man, we just talked about Ray Bourque has got the opening goal for the Bruins. Murphy now swings his way into the Capitals end down the right side. Shooter towards the net. That's blocked and picked up by Langway.
Capitals protecting that area in the slot so well right now. Their defense just collapsing in that area when the Penguins try to make a play in front of Don Beaupre.
Capitals trying to get Dale Hunter's line out here with Tippett and Cicerelli. Now they've completed the change, and Joey Mullen scrambling back, going to Ronnie Francis. He feeds it to the left wing corner of the Capitals in, and Iafrate after it. Penguins just can't get in around that net. The Capital defensemen are doing an excellent job of keeping them wide of the play. And Tippett now in a four-man rush going to the Penguin zone. Cicerelli drop pass. Here's Tippett. Look out. He shoots it, and Pietrangelo with the save. Rebound. Shot again. Blocked. Picked up. Rebound. Scored. Dale Hunter gets the puck to the right of Pietrangelo. And the Capitals strike with the first goal, and they lead 1-0. Penguins just had nobody back. They had a four-man rush under two men back. And the Pens watch the Capitals strike with the opening score of the game.
Pietrangelo was helpless on this play, although he made the first save and lost control of the rebound. It came out to Tippett, who tried to wrap it in the net. Stanton was in front of the goal to prevent that, but the puck came right over to Dale Hunter, who was just parked there for an eternity, and all he had to do was deposit that puck into the net. Tippett, a defensive specialist playing on this line with Cicerelli and Hunter, has been outstanding. He's played his best hockey for the Capitals during the playoffs, and this has been their best line, most productive line. There's the guy with the 6 assists. That's his first goal, Dale Hunter.
So Hunter does cash in, and now play back to center ice, and they get the sticks up a little bit here to begin the action. And Hunter giving the Capitals the opening goal in this game.
From Petrolia, Ontario.
There's Coffey. The Penguins looking for the puck from the faceoff. 1-0 Washington. Paul Stanton, the Penguins, left it at center ice, but Vavanka steals. He gave it right to Bob Airy. Airy trying to get into the zone. Onside is Recchi as he got back to straddle the line on his backside. Shot towards the net. That's deflected. And the Penguins again can't get around the Washington net area. And it's deflected off a stick right back into the Penguin or the Capital bench.
Johansson and Airy go off for roughing at 13:09.
And they're coincidental minors. The Penguins now come back with Recchi and Bourque on either side of Mario Lemieux, with Bob Airy out of there. And here comes the Capitals attack, and Mike Lawler puts it high in the air. It's knocked down by Pietrangelo. He'll leave it for Coffey, but Coffey bumped in the play. He finally directs it over to Stanton, but he's taken out of the action. Christie goes to Vavanka. Wrist shot, and a good save by Pietrangelo off his right right arm. Here's Vavanka again. Swings it over to John Bruce, and frankly, the Capitals should be up more than 1-0 right now. They've outplayed the Penguins heavily in this first period to date. We've got 6:19 to go. Lemieux shoot it up into the right wing corner. Capitals in off the boards, and Coffey can't get there. Hatcher moves it away quickly, and here the Capitals out of their own end, but they lose the puck to Lemieux. Lemieux on the right side to Mark Recchi. Recchi pulls back, feed it in front. Lemieux can't get there. Lemieux now goes behind the net to grab the puck. Feed it in front for Bourque. He shoots, scores! Phil Bourque flipped it by Donnie Beaupre, and the Penguins have tied the game at 1. Oh, buck 'em, Dano. Penguins have tied it on Phil Bourque's goal. Now that was a case of Lemieux doing a good job of stripping the puck of the Capitals coming out of their own end. He poke checked it away at the blue line before they could get across. And the Penguins end up with a goal to tie it.
The Penguins realize they have to skate and dog the Washington Capitals, use the speed that they had to stay on them, even when it looks like they're just marching out of their own zone with that puck. Lemieux would have none of it. He went over and stripped the puck, came back in around the net, put it in front, and Phil Bourque was able to just kind of work that puck into the net against Don Beaupre. Was flipping around in front of him, and he was able to poke it into the net. But Phil Bourque on the line again with Lemieux. You know, he'd been playing on a different line to start the game. He had been playing with Lemieux recently, of course, in recent games, but Airy in the penalty box. Bourque steps out there on the line with him and cashes in.
Well, that's the first sustained threat the Penguins had in around the Capital goal, and it results in a score by the Penguins, and it just gives you some idea with this power machine that the Penguins have in scoring. If they can get in around that way, they might get a few more tonight. Roughing call coming up against Lawler after the goal was scored. So that penalty comes at 13:59.
It's amazing how many guys get hit after goals are scored in this league, and often penalties aren't called. That time one was.
And here is Iafrate back to touch it from the face-off at center ice. An icing call against the Penguins, and here's Coffey leading the rush back. On the left wing to Yager off his stick. It deflects into the Capital zone. Yager, Francis up front for the Penguins, along with Mario Lemieux in the right wing corner. Capitals in behind the net to Yager. Yager around to Mario Lemieux. Coffey's open left point. Instead he goes back to Yager. Poking in behind the net to Ronnie Francis. Francis pulls back. Kelly Miller put in front now for Yager. Can't get in. Lemieux will, and he sweeps it wide of the net. He didn't get all of that with that shot. Murphy at the right point for the Penguins over to Ron Francis. Francis poke it over to the left point to Coffey of Pittsburgh. Now to Lemieux. In the slot to Murphy. Will he shoot it? He lets it go. And the stop made by Beaupre off his stick. Iafrate frames it around the boards and out. Iafrate and Langway play back on that backside with 1:03 to go in the Lawler penalty.
And Tim Massong of New Waterford, Ohio, is our contestant on the Ironman Advantage contest.
Coffey will pick the mail up, and here he comes. Penguins now have opened it up a little bit. Here's Coffey to the left side, going to the Caps in. Bring it down deep. Centered it from behind. Stevens whacked it out. It goes over to Murphy. Turning 45 from the net. He turns and shoots it. Missed the goal. Whacked out by the Capitals. They can't clear. Stevens off the boards. Over to Coffey. Left side to Lemieux. Lemieux holds the puck. Now feed it in front. And Beaupre deflects that with a stick. Coffey again to the corner. Trying to hit Recchi, but the Capitals working to the point, but not out. Coffey left side to Lemieux. Too hard to pass. Coffey goes in. He's bumped by Hatcher. Stevens put it behind the net. Here's Recchi at Pittsburgh. The leads all players in assists in the playoffs with 10. Over to Murphy. Right side to now Coffey. Back to Lemieux. He's trying to feed it in front. He does, and went right by Stevens. Going to Coffey. Shoots it. Missed the net. Rebound. Lemieux can't put it in. He tried once again and missed. Lemieux has it with 13 to go in the penalty. Play in the front. Recchi can't jam it home. And the Penguins are alive right now. They get it over to the center point to Coffey. Looks in front. Stevens there. He's hammered. Knocked down by Tippett. No penalty call. He's back up. Still a loose puck. Tippett. And Stevens whacking away at him. And they come after Stevens. But Dave Tippett just manhandles Stevens in front of that goal. The penalty has expired. The Penguins failed to score. And they found new life here in the first period. They bounced back.
All right, Borky, I think maybe you ought to thank Bobby for taking that penalty so you could get on that line and score that goal. Way to go, man. Nice job.
Thanks, Bobby, because actually I started the game on the fourth line with Randy Gillen and Yeri Herdina.
Yeah.
And I had no business being on the ice. For whatever reason, Badger Bob had me in the Chateau Bow Wow. And Bobby, who was really gooning it up that game, he was running everything in sight, takes a penalty, and Badger threw me a bone. And I remember Mario always telling me, Borky, just go to the net and I'll get you the puck. And sure enough, the big boy got it to me.
Borky, that was a timely goal because I'll tell you what, you guys were coming on a little bit at that point, but prior to that, man, were the Capitals flying and early in that game. What was going on with you guys? We don't have a lot of time here, but I just wonder what happened. Why didn't you come out storming, you think, at the beginning of this game when you know you need this game desperately?
Well, I think, obviously, Staggy, they could create offense from their backside. I think that kind of backed us up a little bit, and we thought that maybe we could win a game on the power play with our power play. However, we couldn't kill penalties. Couldn't kill them with a lick in the series, and couldn't kill them in this hockey game we're going to see as we go on.
All righty, so it's a 1-1 tie. Let's go back to the action. And believe me, a lot more goals to come in this one.
The Penguins have realized one thing. The Capitals have a very high tempo here in this first period, and the Penguins have had to scramble back to meet that tempo. Right now they're doing it on even terms, but the first 13 minutes of the game, the Capitals really had pretty good control of it, and they could not score but one goal against Frank Pietrangelo. Here's Stevens back into the Caps in left side, cuts for the net. He shoots it again, Peter, and it'll be saved by Beaupre. Rebound, score! Joey Mullen rips it by Beaupre, and the Penguins have taken the lead 2-1. Now called Arnold Slick from Turtle Creek. Joey Mullen on the rebound.
You don't see the Penguins score a lot of goals on rebounds, especially rebounds that come out about 25 feet with a handle on them. But Joey Mullen, flying down the slot, was able to get to that loose puck that just popped way out past the hash marks, and he just fired it right past Beaupre, who couldn't have expected that shot to be coming as it did, and it was perfectly placed too. Mullen just has a knack of just getting that puck to the net in any way he can. He was being hauled down from behind as he shot that puck. There was a hooking penalty coming up, I think, on Joey Mullen right there. Whoever was grabbing him from behind, but he still managed to make a perfect shot to give the Penguins the lead.
Joey Mullen scores on the rebound play from about 35 feet away, up high, and he can draw that ladder. And he does that to give the Penguins the lead for the first time tonight, 2-1. Cody Roberts now again moving back into the Capitals' end. To the right wing boards it goes to Mark Recchi. Recchi, throw it around to Mario Lemieux. Got rid of that puck in a hurry. Lemieux has it. Lemieux cuts behind the goal. Stops. Wheeling deal. Iafrate's trying to get to him. He can't. Lemieux using the magic right now. Penalty coming up against the Capitals. Erie was knocked down. It comes out in front, and Cicerelli has it. And the Caps now will be shorthanded once again. A holding call coming up, I think, against Dave Tippett.
He probably could have been sent to the box earlier for something that was much more drastic than that. But the Penguins will take it. They're back on the power play.
And here they are with a face-off to the right of Don Beaupre. Recchi, Stevens, and Lemieux up front. Iafrate pushing at Stevens. They whack one another, and here's the drop of the biscuit, and Langway around the boards, but Murphy cut it off. He goes to Recchi, who's really alive here now. The wrecking ball, feed it over to Larry Murphy. Murphy pulls back. The Capitals in that box defense. Third power play chance for the Penguins. They're 0 for 2. Now to Recchi. Swing at left point. Coffey. Good play to keep it in with the back of his stick. Around to Lemieux. Wristed over wide of the net. It comes off right point. Can Murphy get there? And he does. He keeps it in. The left side high in the air to Coffey, but it was too high, and it's dumped ahead. And here comes Ridley. Back shorthanded going to the Penguins. But a hand pass will be called here against the Capitals.
I'll tell you, Larry Murphy knew that a hand pass had been made, and he was just waiting for the linesman to finally make the call, which he did. Karen Schneider of Pittsburgh is our contestant on the Iron Man Advantage contest. The Penguins score in the power play. A $100 bill goes to Karen. Compliments of Iron City Beer.
Get Chuck back in our starting lineup. He's too valuable down there in the igloo. And here to center, it goes to Murphy. He wheels his way into the Capitals in left point to Coffey. 2-1 the Penguins lead. Lear side now to Coffey. In the left wing circle, Stevens, a backhand shot, save and rebound. Ricky can't get there. Stevens after. The Penguins are getting to the loose pucks right now against the Capitals. They're beating them to him. But bounced around to the near corner, and Iafrate, with speed that he has, can rattle it out. Penguins lead 2-1. Iafrate directs it up in the left wing corner of the Pittsburgh zone. 20 seconds to go in the period. We'll go by that clock. The doctor's moving now, and he's got the motor going. Going to the Capitals end. Down the left side, he pulls up, looks for a trailer. Instead, goes to the near corner for Recchi. Swinging it behind the net to Mario Lemieux. 9 seconds to go in the period. Lemieux one-arms it over the right side to Murphy. Shoots it. Stopped by Beaupre, who got his glove up. How'd he make that save? He got his glove up through a big traffic jam in front, and Donnie Beaupre stops Larry Murphy, and a face-off will result in the Capital zone. 4 seconds left in the period. Penguins have time for one quick play here. We'll see what they do as far as a setup maneuver. My guess is they'll probably try and set up Coffey or Lemieux here for a one-time shot from the draw. Lemieux will be planted to the left side, and that's what they'll do. They'll move Murphy into the circle and let Lemieux hang out. And I would imagine Murphy will try and back in and open space up a little bit if Lemieux can get to the puck and then shoot it to try and screen or open things up in that area. Murphy actually should be back a little bit if he wants to kind of jam things between those two men.
I've also seen Lemieux take a draw in this situation.
In the face-off one, right side, here's Coffey, left side, and Lemieux, they try to go to him, and it was just a little short, and time runs out. And the Penguins were dominated the first 13 minutes of this hockey game in the first period, but they bounced back. They got a goal by Bourque and the go-ahead score by Joey Mullen. The end of one in Game 2. Pittsburgh has the lead over Washington 2-1.
So the Penguins with a 2-1 lead after one period of play, and as we said, Borky, you delivered a huge goal. The momentum had already started to swing your way, but you really capped it off by scoring that goal, and then of course Joey Mullen getting another one. But you guys really did have the weather an early storm in this one.
Yeah, we sure did, and that was a bouncing puck, and you can see Mario. He's got two guys on him. He's got Pavanka following him to the net. Rex does the right thing. He tries to get it to the big boy, but you can see Kevin Hatcher follows Mario around the net. Pavanka goes at him. And that leaves me all alone. I get a bouncing puck here, and I get the bounce here. I'm just real lucky to get the bounce, and I think they actually took a penalty after I got hammered there right afterwards. But yeah, the momentum definitely was in Washington's favor. Frank Pietrangelo made some big saves in the first period early on. But Joey Mullen, Bobby, what can you say about Joey Mullen's goal?
Well, more goals than any U.S.-born player at this point anyways. And Joey Mullen, that was a bouncing puck. He's got the collar around his neck, of course. He's got the bad neck problem that he came back from. But Joey just rifled that shot over Beaupre's glove. I mean, not a chance at all. And he was humming down the middle of the slot there. And that was a bouncing puck off the Stevens rebound. And he just got total wood on that baby.
Yeah. Bobby, let's put this game in context a little bit, okay? Now, we're looking back. This is 1991. It's a completely different era in hockey, and this is such an exciting brand of hockey. But you see all the offensive defensemen in this game. You know, you got Paul Coffey on the Penguins end. You got even Paul Stanton, who's jumping into the attack. You've got Al Iafrate, who's just absolutely flies, and he's up ice all the time. Kevin Hatcher, good offensive defenseman. Calle Johansson, another one. You know, that really changes the way a game is played. I mean, this is a completely different approach to the game of hockey we're seeing here than what we see today.
Well, I think you're looking at four forwards, really. Every time there's five guys on the ice, four of them are capable of scoring goals, and there's one guy that mans the fort. That's really how the game was played back then. Coffey would just go, and Stanton would go and join a rush. You see that in youth hockey now, where you have guys activated. But nowadays in the pros, you just don't activate that fourth defenseman as often as you could and you should. And these guys had the green light. You mentioned it. I mean, Iafrate was a tremendous offensive player, Borky. I mean, this was a guy that could just burn you, and he was one of the fastest guys in the league. And I think Hatcher led their team that season with 74 points. And on our backside, Coffey, I mean, how good was he? How brilliant and fast was he in that hockey game?
Well, and the game had a lot of hooking and holding in it. It really did. It was holding up all the time. Yeah. And the interference calls weren't being made back then. But it was the type of thing you just fought through it. It was part of the game. And you hear it now that the game has changed so much that if a guy just stands in front of another guy on the forecheck, he's getting a penalty. But back then, players were so gifted offensively that they just went for it all the time. There was not that many calls on the hooking and holding, and it was just good, wide open hockey.
There were enough penalties called in this game, though, against the Penguins to create some problems for the Penguins because, as Bobby pointed out earlier, the penalty killing was having a tough time early in the playoffs that year and in this game in particular. But the Penguins are going to find a way to overcome it. As we go to the second period, it's April 19th, 1991, Game 2 of the Penguins series against the Washington Capitals. One of the greatest games ever played in the city of Pittsburgh continues in just a moment.
For a sixth-round draft pick, which is a pretty nice acquisition for David Poile.
Recchi, Lemieux, and Bork start on the power play, but the Capitals have the puck, and they ram it back into the Penguins' end, and Pietrangelo will set it up for Paul Coffey. Penguins lead 2-1 with 25 seconds to go in the Capital penalty. Coffey into the Capital zone on the left side. Give it over to Recchi, and a wrist shot blocked. Recchi adds to his total as the league's leading assist man in the playoffs. So Coffey shooting deflected by Recchi and wide of the net. 13 to go in the penalty. Larry Murphy of the Penguins handles it. Murphy going to the near corner, around down to Lemieux on the left wing side. Mario goes left point to Coffey, shoot it in front, deflected in by Recchi, and the Penguins have a 3-1 lead. Out by Sam Drake and get his dog 1-2. The wrecking ball strikes for the Penguins.
He's the leading scorer among players in the Wales Conference in the playoffs, Mark Recchi. That's his third goal of the playoffs on the power play, a deflection. Coffey has done this with Stevens many times this year, setting it up on a table for Recchi to deflect that in. It was like a pass, but he made it look like a shot. And Recchi just cruised into an area and got the blade of his stick down right along the ice, and it jumped right over Beaupre. A $100 bill goes to Karen Schneider of Pittsburgh in an Ironman Advantage contest. Compliments of Mark Recchi.
So Recchi gets the power play goal by the Penguins with only 4 seconds left in the Tippett penalty. Penguins go to a line change. Caps on the rush. Cicerelli with a big long shot hit the outside of the net in the Penguin zone. The post to the left of Pietrangelo. The play has stopped, and what happened here? Now we've got bodies banging one another around in the circle to the left of Pietrangelo.
There may have been too many men on the ice, I think.
Well, that could be the call. The Penguins hurried out on a line change to get back out. They may have not gotten people off.
Too many men on the ice to the Penguins.
Going to Pittsburgh territory. Miller on the right wing to Cicerelli. Breaks in. He failed on the shot. It rolled to the net anyway, and Samuelson trying to wheel it out. He couldn't. Right side, it will come over to Ridley. Right point to Iafrate of the Capitals. Swing it down deep into the right side over to Miller. Back to Iafrate, number 34 for the Capitals. Got away from Joey Mont. Comes right down. A long shot deflected, and it went wide of the cage. Gillen's all over one of the Capitals. That's Kelly Miller from behind the Penguin goal. Ridley trying to center. Roberts overtakes him and takes the puck away and shoots it up high. Big play by Gordy Roberts to take the heat out of a hot kitchen.
A check always hurts a little more when you're facing it. If you are facing the boards and you're waiting for it, you can brace yourself. But Ridley took that shot right in the chest from Gordy Roberts, and he took the puck right away from him.
Dale Hunter now weaves his way back into the Penguins end around a helmet that's in the front of the net. Centered out, nobody home. And it goes to Hatcher. He'll deal to the near corner, off the boards, coming to the Penguins' Bob area, and he'll just tap it ahead. Back down to Washington territory. Andy Beaupre will lead it up for Calle Johansson and Lemieux approaching him. 3-1 the Penguins lead here early in the second period. And John Bruce of Washington heading his way to the Penguins' end, goes down deep in the corner, around the boards to Dale Hunter. Hunter of the Capitals. Looking to make a play. He can't, but now he gets the puck into the right of the net to Pivonka in front to Drews, who scores his first playoff goal, and the Capitals make it 3-2. Pivonka with a pretty pass out to Drews, and he wrapped it up high, and it makes it 3-2. Boy, John Drews came out of nowhere, and Pivonka just put it right on his stick. And John Drews is a guy you don't want to see get hot right now, believe me.
I told you, we were wondering when he was going to finally score, and the longer he went without scoring, the closer he came to scoring. The old hidden vigorish theory. Michael Pivonka put it right on the tape. Jennings came back to meet Pivonka. He just didn't get there in time. And give Drews credit for dancing out of that corner and getting position on Paul Stanton. Amazing how the Capitals score goals. Even on the power play, they score them in that grinding fashion. It's not that tic-tac-toe stuff. It's out of the corner, plays off the boards, and just go to the net and gritty type goals.
And here they go again, scoring on the power play at the Civic Arena, where teams have really cashed in against Pittsburgh here in this playoff series to date. Not only this one, but New Jersey as well. They are now 3 for 6 of the Capitals on the power play. Here is Samuelson crushed on a double check by the Capitals area with Sammy's penalty coming up against the Capitals. Coffey to the left wing going to Stevens. Delayed call. Coffey gets it back. Coffey shoots it down low, and save made by Beaupre. And the Capitals control. It'll be a charging call here against Kyprios for slamming Samuelson against the boards after the first man in. It hit him also. And the Penguins go to the power play once again. Face off Capitals in to the right of Beaupre. Ridley against Francis. Work free, and Langway comes over. He'll shoot it up the wood and around. And a good play there by Kelly Miller to tie up Larry Murphy. That's a set play by the Caps when they win the draw and pull it back. Miller just tied up Murphy so he could not get to the puck at the point. Coffey smoking now. Here he comes to center. Now to the Capitals line. Down the left side. He's still coming with a trip knocked down. Capitals take it away. Iafrate has the puck. Played it by Ron Francis, and now Kelly Miller trying to clear, and he does right by Murphy, and it comes all the way back into Penguin territory. Murphy and Coffey again working the points for the Penguins. Minute 23 to go on the Capital penalty. Murphy labors his way into the Capitals' end, comes down the left side, goes to Lemieux to Coffey. Rifles one little miss to that. Got it up too high, it went off the glass. Yager comes over, but he can't get to it. And the Capitals again wrist it up into Penguin territory. Coffey making these length of the ice rushes right now. With a minute 4 to go. Left wing pass over to Lemieux. Right to Recchi. Cutting for the net. His shot. And a good save by Beaupre off his glove. He'll jiggle that glove to see if it's all right. And Iafrate now turns it back to center. Lemieux setting up Recchi as he went right to the goal. And here comes a wrecking ball back the other way. Had to go off his stick. He still chases after it. Murphy comes up with it. Larry Murphy going over to Paul Coffey. Man open left side Recchi, but he can't get it through. Lemieux will get it. Behind Hatcher. Here he comes. Lemieux walks in with a move, and he tried to put it in. He couldn't do it. He got Beaupre turned around, but he couldn't quite finish the play. Lemieux behind the goal now in the Capitals' end. He and Recchi. They go to the left point to Coffey. 33 seconds to go. Recchi now shooting. Scoring! Mark Recchi gives the Penguins a 4-2 lead. Michael motorcycle. Penguins lead 4-2. That was Recchi hopping or what?
Lemieux is really barking at Terry Gregson about something right now. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe somebody got hit after a goal again. Coffey made a perfect pass to Mark Recchi. Looked up again, faked that shot once again. Went over to Recchi, who stopped the puck, shot it. Beaupre got a piece of it with his right pad underneath his left pad, but he didn't get enough of it. It went off the post and into the net.
All right, they're filling the net with power play goals. A couple are by Mark Recchi, one by John Druce, and boy, Paul Coffey played an integral part on both of those power play goals.
Well, we talked about Paul Coffey's speed earlier in the hockey game, but what about his vision on the point? This was a guy that always had his head up. He was able to either shoot the puck on the net or at the last second could find a stick, a wide open stick, and he found a couple of wide open sticks here.
No, what was neat, Bobby, is as people watching this game, you see the full shield on Paul Coffey. He never wore a full shield, but if you remember back then in '91, Coffey actually got hit in the jaw in the New Jersey series. That's why he had a broken jaw. He's wearing the full shield. And I wonder, Bobby, how difficult it was for the Washington players to see Paul Coffey's eyes. A lot like a defensive back sees a quarterback. Yeah. He looks for his eyes to where he's going to pass. Well, you couldn't see Coffey's eyes because he had the full shield on. Didn't know where he was passing. And him, pinpoint passes to Mark Recchi, just phenomenal.
And those fake shots that he took at the point, and then they turned out to be passes and setting up a couple of goals. So, yeah, special teams really starting to play an integral part of this hockey game, and it's just a tremendous up and down game. And it continues right now on Penguins Classic TV.
Iafrate now in the Capitals' end. Pressure by Brian Trottier. Trottier around the boards. Penalty coming up here. It'll be against the Penguins. Pittsburgh will be shorthanded. It'll be a holding call against the Pens with 10:01 to go, and Trottier is the guilty party. So Trottier sits down. The Capitals will get their third power play chance, and they're 1 for 2 on the night. They got a big goal to pull within one in this period. The Penguins counter with another power play goal of their own. It has been a tremendous skating game between these two clubs.
Just remember the old momentum. It's such a big factor in the playoffs.
Well, you look in the net right now. As far as this game, we've got a long way to go. Halfway through in regulation, but number 40, Frank Pietrangelo, came up very tough in the early going against the Capitals. Well, they might well have been ahead by more than the 1-0 score, and they're offside of the Caps going to the Penguins in on the power play. Mullen and Gellin, the penalty killers. And at the Penguin line, Dale Hunter had a stick tied up, but he worked it back to the left point to Kevin Hatcher. Around the right side, over to Calle Johansson. Back to Hatcher. Hatcher led the Caps in scoring in the regular season with 24 along with Kelly Miller. Must Johansson drive it up to the Penguins end, up the right wing boards. Dale Hunter will score his first playoff goal. Goes to Bavaca. Cuts for the net, trying to drop it off in front. He can't do it. Around to the right point, it goes to Hatcher. Hatcher moves it over to Dale Hunter, and now in the corner to Michael Bavaca. Christie went for the net. It goes to Johansson. Right side, Hunter shooting. Blocking the Penguins have it, and here's Joey Mullen. Rammed on a check and couldn't quite get it out. Right side, Bavaca. Moving the puck left side over to Christie. He lost the puck, and Randy Gillen will carry it up and shoot it up into the Capital zone. Lemieux coming off of the Penguins along with Bob Airy. 1:09 to go in the penalty to Brian Trottier.
The way Lemieux's flying, Mike, I just have a feeling something good might happen for him shorthanded here because he's starting to really get those wheels going.
And it will be Kevin Hatcher flipping the puck into the Penguin zone on the carry him around to the near corner. Murphy is hit. Capitals have it, and Cicerelli overskated though, and the Penguins have possession. And Mario Lemieux backhands it away down the Capitals territory. Beaupré is hit on the action by Bob Arie, who gets involved with Iafrate, and that keeps him pinned back in the Capital zone. And here come the Capitals on the power play. Iafrate and Bob Arie, and they're jamming up. And now Iafrate's got his hands into the face of Bob Arie. Bobby hanging in there. They had an altercation in game one, did they not? Bob Arie and Iafrate, and they're both going to sit down. You would think that would favor the Penguins the way Iafrate's been going.
Yeah, they did have an altercation. Iafrate was picked up a roughing penalty, and Bob Arie an elbowing penalty in that first game.
So they're both going to sit down here.
There's an elbow from Iafrate. Take Bobby's helmet off.
Bobby's got that glove in his face, and then he returned and gouged him in the eye.
Oh, good. I bet that feels good.
Bobby had that glove in his eye, in his face too. Here down the right wing, and will come over to Ridley. He moves into the Penguins' end on the power play still. Left side, shoots, scores! Oh, he beat Pietrangelo on the stick-hand side. The Capitals get a big power play goal there. Another one. They register their second of this game also, and now have made it 4-3. That would just escape the right side of Pietrangelo. I don't know if it hit something on the way in or not.
It may have. It may have hit the defenseman in front. Larry Murphy, I think it is. Ridley let the shot go. It did hit an arm. Changed direction on Frank Pietrangelo. That was all Samuelson.
Well, Ridley gets his third of the playoffs. Another power play goal. Johansson has the only assist. And it's amazing the number of power play goals that the Penguins have given up in playoff competition. They lead 4-3 now on the right side. Capitals having a shot by Dale Hunter. Grabbed by Pietrangelo, and he pulls it in and holds on. Now the Penguins keep reaching up to get the George Foreman knockout punch, but they keep getting pushed back, and they keep dancing toe-to-toe.
We move to further action in tonight's presentation on Penguins Classic TV.
The Penguins have outshot the Capitals 21-20 in this game. And pulled back by Francis to Paul Stanton. Looking to check on him was Alan May. And Coffey corrals the puck, and here he comes out of his own end with two. Capitals trapped back. The Penguins have a four-man rush coming up. Coffey into the Capitals end on the right side. Lay it in the slot. Here's Stevens shooting, scoring! Kevin Stevens makes it 5-3 Pittsburgh. Oh, no, Eddie Spaghetti. Stevens and the Penguins cash in again.
That's what Paul Coffey can do for you. Coming up ice, a five-man rush practically for the Pens. And he just found Kevin Stevens somehow in the slot through that maze of players. He busted out of his own end and went end-to-end. Paul Coffey with that tremendous skating stride and just handling the puck all the way down the right side. Looked back to find Stevens pretty much trailing the play, and he wristed it past Don Beaupré. What a rush by Paul Coffey and a great pass to Kevin Stevens.
Now Coffey has done one thing, at least to this point of the game. He's backed up all the words that he had put in the papers today, didn't he? I mean, he's got 3 assists. And he has really been flying out here, but the game still has a long way to go. And 5-3 Pittsburgh. Coffey felt the Penguins had to pick the intensity up, and certainly he has done that. There isn't any question about it. And Jágr now in his own end. Penguins, though, every time they get the lead like this, they seem to lay back a little bit, but the Capitals have taken advantage of power play situations. And again, the Penguins trying to maybe deliver a knockout punch. May with a puck, and the Penguins in, shoots it. That's blocked. Picked up now in the far corner by Jágr. Jágr turns around. And up to Loney and back on a 2-on-1 with Trottier. I don't think they have enough speed to make it happen, though. They will not. Trottier shoots it, and that was blocked. Lawler got back to make the play, and now Iafrate was also back, and here's Loney around the net. Couldn't get it to Trottier, but it comes to Roberts. He'll fake a shot. Move down, put it behind the goal. To Troy Loney of Pittsburgh. And the Capitals in. Loney trying to get away from Lawler. Double team. Pavanka's there also. It's a pretty good matchup, I believe, for the Penguins right now.
I agree with you, Mike.
Right back in behind the net, and here's Loney. Again working Pavanka. Around the boards, it will go to Roberts, and Roberts will shoot it. Deflected. Jágr's got the puck. Jágr turning, trying to let it go, and he can't. Off the right side, Murphy. Shoot it back towards the net. Loney can't find it. Murphy has it one more time into the corner for Brian Trottier. Let it go for Jágr. Jágr around. Iafrate got a piece of it. Jágr works away from that check. Now he's knocked down by Iafrate. And on top of the puck he goes, and now he'll hit it. Loney comes in to try to get to Iafrate with Jágr down. But Jágr making it happen against one of the league's best, Iafrate, and he is driving him crazy.
We move to further action in tonight's presentation on Penguins Classic TV.
The first 13 minutes of it, but they really turned things around after a goal by Phil Bourque, and they have been a better team here through this year. Jogger back into the Capitals end since that point, and Kyprios comes up with it. The Capitals have just stayed close, and they've down by a pair, and May to the right wing, trying to get around Gordy Roberts. Roberts stopped him. Roberts has played a strong game tonight here for the Penguins, particularly in this last few minutes of period number 2 on the penalty-killing effort, and now stymieing the attack of May with 22 seconds left. You know what, the Capitals just go to the room and try and regroup and get themselves ready for a strong third period. And you know the games 3 and 4 will be played at the Cap Center. Over 100 playoff games now for Gordy Roberts. Penguins, of course, have not been in the playoffs that much, but a lot have, too. A lot of guys with a lot of games. Trottier for one. Here's Hatcher now cutting around a man, comes in, trying to shoot into the net. He couldn't do it. Tippett got it and centered it in front, but the Penguins, Gordy Roberts there again. And Roberts kills the clock as he shoots it back to center with 10 seconds. There goes to Joey Mullen. Look from behind by Hatcher. He drops it off to Loney. It'll come right to a Capital. 4 seconds to go in the period. Hatcher looks up. Hunter will try and take the pass to stride and shoot it, but he'll not be able to as time runs out. And the second period ends. So in game 2, we played 40 minutes in regulation. And the score, the Penguins 5 and the Capitals 3.
Frankie Pietrangelo certainly had to be given high marks early in the game.
Well, he certainly stepped in and played well for us ever since Tommy went down, and tonight was no exception. First period, we wanted to come out and try and get things on track early, and like you said, what we want to do and sometimes what the other team has in mind for us are two different things. And the first period we struggled a little bit early. I think the shots were 11-2 at one point, and Frank, kept us in the game and gave us the opportunity to get back into it.
Ron Francis became the defensive conscience of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 90s, and I think that he was thinking defense as much as he possibly could, Bob, but it was kind of hard to do in this game, I think. But obviously special teams played a key role in that second period, and a couple of beautiful setups by Paul Coffey, and then that incredible rush that led to the Kevin Stevens goal. Let's take a look at the goals.
Well, the first one, Koff is able to get a shot down there low that's redirected by Mark Recchi. What a tremendous goal. You notice Don Beaupre still standing up. Rex finds the short side high over the right shoulder of Beaupre to get us off and running in that second period. Remember, that was only 35 seconds in. Another look at it here. But look at Koff's head. Look at him. He just freezes. The puck is still. Oh, this is the second one direction. Look at Beaupre has to slide over. But you know what that does, Bork? You know what it does when you freeze a goaltender like that. You lift your head up. You think you're shooting. Beaupre's got to come up, respect Paul Coffey. Then he slides it over to Rex, and the rest is the history.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And talk about respecting Paul Coffey. Watch Calle Johansson here, the defenseman. Back. He's backing up so far, respecting Paul Coffey's speed. He finds the big mule coming through the slot, Kevin Stevens, and he's not going to make any mistakes. What an incredible release he had, quick and hard. Beaupre never had a chance.
Yeah, I took a look at that goal again, and you notice Ron Francis going to the net to clear a path for Kevin Stevens there. And the other thing I noticed is Hatcher lifted his leg. They gave it the old flamingo there, Borky. The old flamingo, the one leg up. No, that may have cost him.
Now, interesting thing here in this period, I think, is the fact that now you've gotten 5 goals behind Donnie Beaupre, who came into this game with the second best goals against average in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, the Penguins, as we would learn in the 90s, had a knack of being able to break goaltenders. But, I'm not expecting them to pull Donnie Beaupre. This is just a wild game. I'm thinking he's in for the rest of the night. We'll see that could change, but I want to get your thoughts on how this game is going. It seems like it's a Penguin type of hockey game, one that you guys should feel pretty comfortable with at this point.
Yeah, I think we felt pretty comfortable with it. I'm really surprised that they did change the goaltender. Maybe somebody had a premonition that it was going to go to overtime, because as you see in the third period, I think that our goaltender gets a little bit tired, Frankie Pietrangelo, and Liu comes up with some big saves.
Well, I remember back in that game, I was surprised to see Liu in there, because I thought Beaupre actually played pretty good. Pietrangelo played pretty good too, but obviously their coach Terry Murray saw something that he didn't like. He put Liu in, and he was actually phenomenal, as you're going to see in the third period here. That Mike Liu, 35 years old, actually stands on his head here in the third.
He really does, and it was a nice move by Terry Murray. So that's something you can look forward to as we go to the third period. A new goaltender in the net for the Washington Capitals. The Penguins with a 5-3 lead, and a lot of goals to come.
Mike Liut comes in, and that's one of the things I think the Penguins wanted to do in this series is try and force Beaupre out. And they've done it a couple of times over the last 2 years, and they get Beaupre out of the game here, going to the third. And the Capitals make a goaltending change, and Liut comes on.
It might be a way for Terry Murray to send a message to his team. He wants them to start thinking, getting back to playing good defensively.
Kelly Miller puts it in front of the Penguin net, and here's Berglund hauled down on the play by one of the Penguins and running right into the net. Coffey on here for the Pens, along with Bob Ayers, Paul Stanton. Stanton's the man that got hurt on that play, trying to catch Berglund from behind.
Just to add to what I was saying, I think Terry Murray sending a message to his team to play better defensively in front of his goaltender, and maybe giving Liut an opportunity here, figuring this would be a good chance to work him in. Beaupre hasn't played the entire time in the playoffs. Liut has played a couple of games. Penguins' backup goaltender is Bruce Racine. He's like a heartbeat away from maybe coming in here, you know. That would be a tremendous opportunity for that young guy.
Out of Northeastern University, left point Penguins in. Here's Kevin Hatcher. Hatcher moves it over now to Calle Johansson. Johansson shoots it. Where is it? Pietrangelo trying to find it. He kneels down. It's to the left of him. And now the Penguins cover. We have a break there for the Penguins. They could not find the puck. And they call for the trainer quickly from the bench, or did they? Well, it looked like Gordy Roberts waved his hand towards the Penguin bench, and Francis was hurt.
I think he was throwing the puck to the linesman.
No, he waved to the bench. He really did. Yeah, he waved his hand as if to get somebody out here, and nobody did come.
Johansson just threw it to the net. Pietrangelo stopped the puck, looked behind him for the puck. Francis went down right on his backside. Pavanka landed on top of him. Roberts stepped in there and got himself the puck somehow. Frankie's back was to the zone. He was facing his goal, looking for the puck.
First minute of play, third period, and what the Capitals want to do, as they did in game one, is try and strike early. They were down 2-1 going to the third at the arena on a Wednesday night. These playoffs have me confused on days, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to keep up with them. And here's Stanton. He controls around the right side to Joey Mullen. Mullen's pass intercepted by Michael Pavanka. Pavanka sets up shop in his own end. It's Friday, Michael. It's Friday. It's Friday. And here's Hatcher. Whip it back into the Penguins in, and Stanton delivers it around the left wing boards for Kevin Stevens. Stevens moving up on the play, going to Coffey on the right wing. Coffey steps in, but the Pens are offside. And now Coffey, and now Stevens gets involved. Who's he battling with? He's involved with Stephen Leach of the Capitals. Kevin Stevens and Stephen Leach.
Stephen Leach was benched early in the playoffs when the Capitals played the Rangers, but then came on and played very well for them in the latter stages of that series.
And particularly the deciding game when they beat the Rangers 4-2. Leach and Stevens will both go off here. And he was kind of a dominant factor using the body against the Rangers in that sixth and final game.
He has the ability. He just hasn't been able to find the consistency that the Capitals are looking for. And I'll tell you, to be a consistent performer in the Capitals lineup has got to be very difficult, because you've got to be willing to work every night, take the body and grind it out, because that's just the style they play. And it can be tiring, and it can be demanding. And I think it probably takes some players a while to get accustomed to doing that night in and night out for the Washington Capitals. I asked Terry Murray about it. He said it's an acquired skill, a learned skill, to be able to check along the boards and do the things they require. And he says we have a lot of meetings and we talk about it and we stress it constantly to our players.
Murphy giving the puck to Phil Bourque. And now ahead of Yager, left wing of the Capitals in. He moves against Lager, shoots it right out on Liut. Got a glove up to make that save. And Mike Liut pulls it in. Liut had started the game against this Penguin team on the year, and I think the Pens had 4 goals against him in that in an opening period, or was pulled during the course of the game.
Liut, one of only a couple of goaltenders in the NHL who turns the stick over when he handles it, rather than shortening up on the stick with that stick glove and then using the catching glove as the shooting hand or the lower hand. He'll turn it over and hold the end of the stick with his glove hand and shoot with his other hand. He's the only goaltender who does it. Graham Pang does it too, but he doesn't play anymore in the NHL.
Now a fight breaks out here behind the Capitals goal up to the faceoff. Is that Dale Hunter and Brian Trottier battling one another? Right back in behind the Washington net. Brian Trottier trying to get at Dale Hunter. Hunter is down on the ice, and the linesmen have stepped in quickly.
Well, those two have had battles raging for years, and Trottier making an effort to get Hunter off the ice, figuring that best place for Dale Hunter at this point is a penalty box.
Well, they're not unfamiliar to one another, that's for sure. And it is a Penguin lead of 5-3 here in the third period. Penalties coming up to Hunter and Trottier.
Trottier trying to get away from Dale Hunter, realized that he was going to have to start fighting him, and he did, and they both went on for fighting. 5 minutes.
Gordy Roberts leaving the puck now at the Penguin line for Larry Murphy, who circles back. Murphy on the play, banking down the boards on the left wing side of the Capitals in. And Liut, a tall, rangy goaltender. Bringing the puck back to center. Liut is first down the pinch, put it in front. And a backhand attempt by Jágr. He couldn't get the shot on the goal. Jágr goes behind the net, working around to Yuri Hrdina. Hrdina of Pittsburgh. Pressured on the play by Mike Lawler. Borka's in too, so is Jágr, and Jágr comes away with it, but now it's poked off his stick and right through to center. Dino Ciccarelli going back into the Penguins end. Feet into Tippett, cutting for the goal. He's there. His wrist shot glove by Peter Angelo. Knocked in on the rebound, but the whistle had sounded. Did they give it a go or not? A hooking call. There's going to be a penalty coming up here. There'll be a penalty call. The puck was knocked in, but it'll be a hooking call against the Penguins. Gordy Roberts.
Jágr started this play for the Caps back in the Capital zone when he came out with the puck towards the Penguin zone and lost it, and the Caps picked it up, and then Jágr coming back seemed to lose track of who he should be taking coming back into his own zone.
You wonder, and I'm looking at the series overall, and this game's far from over, but the Capitals are surviving on their power play right now, winning games and getting back into them, and I don't think for a long series that's going to be the case. Here's Johansson, center point, left side over to Kevin Hatcher. Hatcher moves, shoots to the net, stop, rebound, knocked in. They do score. Ciccarelli gets the goal, and the Capitals make it 5-4. And they score another one with a man advantage. Unbelievable.
And it's all starting with face-off wins and shots from those point men, and the Capitals collapsing players around that net. They don't really spread out the power play and try to stretch out that box. They more or less collapse around your goal and just cause so much traffic in front of the goaltender and hope that those point men will have enough time to get shots away. Mike Ridley did handle the puck along the near boards, but when he went back to the point, there was a lot of stuff happening in front of Frank Pietrangelo. Kevin Hatcher has that ability to circle away towards the blue line and get people moving, and he shot it back to the net. Frankie gloved it but didn't hang on to it, and Ciccarelli can score with his head. He's amazing. He was down on the ice and was able to shove that puck into the net to make it 5-4.
Boy, a huge goal by the Capitals. Dino Ciccarelli, number 3, and it makes it a 5-4 hockey game.
And they got a power play goal early in period 3 of game 1 that got them momentum, and they ultimately tied it, then won the game.
Well, to their credit, their power play has been absolutely phenomenal. The Penguins' penalty killing has just not been able to do the job. And now they still lead by 1 to the Penguins. Capitals now have 5 power play goals against the Penguins in 2 games. Down the left wing, Bob Airy. He'll cut in deep. Penguins have poked in 2 tonight themselves. Capitals are now 5 for 9 on the power play against Pittsburgh. And Ridley works it up over to Kelly Miller. Back to Ridley again at equal strength. They haven't fared real well. Here's Johansson shooting the puck right to the Penguin net, and Pietrangelo will glove it and hold on. You can feel the Capitals trying to regain the momentum right now and get back and tie the game. And here are the Capitals now with just over 14 minutes left in regulation. Whipping the puck into the Penguins in. It goes off the right wing quarter boards and behind the net to Yuri Hrdina. 5-4 Pittsburgh here in the third. Penguins trying to even the series at 1 game apiece. It will come to Jágr. Jágr down the left wing. Penguins won game 2 of the New Jersey series by this identical score, 5-4, 1 in overtime. And Jaromir Jágr's goal, remember that? And here is Stephen Leach. Can't handle the pass. Grant Jennings has seen limited ice time tonight for the Penguins. Out with Larry Murphy. Murphy will wrist it up into the Capitals' zone. Liut steps out wearing number 1 in the Capitals' red uniforms. Airy got the pass off the near boards for the Penguins. He tried to bank it over to Lemieux. Can't do it. Hatcher's after it near corner. And he worked it off the boards and back through to the neutral zone.
Look at the Capitals holding guys' sticks. They do it all night long.
Coffey again comes into the Caps in. He's sandwiched between 2 Capitals. Lost the balance on his skates and went off of him. Capitals sneak it back to center. They got Ridley behind the defense. Left side. He's got a man over at Bergman. And Jágr makes a big defensive play to knock it away off the stick of Ridley. And goes on top of the puck in the corner. The great speed of Jaromir Jágr catching Mike Ridley before he can make a play. And the young guy, 19 years of age, from Czechoslovakia, does not allow the Capitals a good scoring chance. Face off to the right of the Penguin goal. Stan was nowhere to be found either. The closest man coming back in the play was Mario Lemieux. The Penguins were really trapped out of position. There's Stan now carrying the puck into the Capital zone.
They're the team that's leading, Mike, you know.
I'm afraid he turns him around on the play to center ice, and Coffey again with the puck, working it back to the Capitals line. The Penguins have tried to deliver the knockout punch in this game a number of times. They just haven't been able to do it. Kevin Miller down. Penguins in. Turn around by Coffey. Bob Airy coming up with it. The Penguins have had several 2-goal leads in this contest, but they've not been able to get that one to make it a 3-goal margin. The one that I think would have turned the game in their favor. But the Capitals will battle back to their credit. Ridley, Penguins in, shoots it right on, and Peter Angelo will glove it. Knock it down for Paul Coffey with 12:27 to go here in the third period. Outlet pass beyond the outstretched arms of Recchi. Deep in the Caps ice. Liut's going to come in. He has to play the puck because Recchi was right there. Recchi against Langway. Good matchup. But Hatcher's over to help the play. Kevin Hatcher of Washington. Feeding it to Hunter, who returns now after serving the major penalty. On right wing, here come the Capitals to the Penguin zone. Stevens will take a piece of Dmitry Kristich. Now here's Cicerelli shooting. Stop. Rebound. Johansson can't tee it up. And he goes behind the Penguin net. Cicerelli comes down, trying to step it in the backhand. Can't do it. Goes in. The Capitals score from right in front. And I think it was Cicerelli or Kristich that got the stick on it. And the Caps have tied the game at 5. They're right back in it. Cicerelli was right there, but I have a feeling that it might have been Kristich who got the last stick on it.
Cicerelli almost scored the first time he came around the corner with a puck on the backhand. It was laying there. Peter Angelo didn't get down to cover it and went right between his legs.
Oh, it is Cicerelli.
Frankie didn't get down to get that puck as it was laying next to the post. Cicerelli got another stick on it as he just kept his head in there and kept digging for that puck and looking for that loose puck and finally poked it between the legs of Peter Angelo.
Boy, the Capitals rallied from a deficit. Now a penalty coming up here, and who's it going to be against? It might be against the Penguins. It will be. It'll be an elbowing call against Roberts, and now Kristich belts him back. The Penguins, after watching the Capitals tie the game, now will take a penalty that'll put them short-handed.
And Kristich tried to get one too, but he probably won't. Because after the whistle blew, he should have been smart enough not to do that. His team had a power play chance. They're going to get one anyway, but they should have taken it away from him.
All right, Pittsburgh will be short-handed here. Roberts headed to the penalty box.
Gordy Roberts elbowed Kristich, and he will sit down for elbowing. Boy, he took a shot at Cicerelli, knocked his helmet off. Kind of drilled him into the boards, didn't he? That might have been the penalty.
So this is power play chance number 6 for the Capitals. Already 3 for 5, and they have it, and the Penguins in. 5-5 the score. Trying to take the lead, and it's off Hatcher's stick and bouncing wide and back to center. The Capitals have never had the lead in this game. Give them credit. They battle back on all occasions. Now have tied it. And here is Ridley. I beg your pardon, they did have the lead. They had the opening goal of the game. My apologies to you. Stanton around the far corner. Still in his own end. Ridley coming up with it. Out to the left point to Kevin Hatcher. Hatcher checked on the play by Gillen. The puck hops back to center. Mullen steps into Hatcher again. Looking for the loose puck will be the Capitals. They have it. They're into the Penguin zone. On the right side, Ridley with a wrist shot. Peter Angelo gloved that one and held on. And we'll have a face-off in Penguin territory. Capitals go to a change in their power play. They'll bring out the Hunter line with Pavanka and Druce. And the appointment will be Iafrate and Kevin Hatcher will stay up.
Sometimes it's not how many times you kill off a penalty, it's when you kill it off. And believe me, the Penguins would have been happy to kill off a few of them earlier in the game, but right now they really have to do it. This is going to be a time when the penalty killers, if they can kill it off and the Penguins can regain some momentum, can look back and say, well, at least we killed this one, the one that would have put us behind.
Dino Cicerelli has led the way back for the Capitals with goals here in the third period. Goals 3 and 4 in the playoffs. And he is out here again. He'll look for the hat trick. Center point, Penguins in. Iafrate shoots one that'll miss the mark. Grant Jennings handles it for the Penguins. Jennings moving around the far wing, but it comes to Cicerelli. Dumps it over to Dale Hunter and the Capitals, who dominated in the first period before the Penguins came back and took the lead. Now driving to the left point that goes by everybody and all the way back into the Capital zone. Caps are alive right now. They've got the momentum going their way. Michael Pavanka lost it to Grant Jennings and whacks it back to the Capitals line. Iafrate sets up shop with 43 seconds to go on the penalty. Out the right wing, going to Pavanka. Into Pittsburgh territory. Pavanka around the boards. Hunter goes in. Bob Airy got a piece of him, but Hatcher flipped it up, and it comes to Gary Murphy. Looks for Lemieux. Lemieux takes over 1-on-2 to the Capitals in short-handed. Mario Lemieux goes in deep behind the net. Iafrate can't stop him. He centers it back. And he tried to do, I think what he was trying to do is bank it off Lemieux and have it Kara behind him. Capitals spin it back to center ice. They try and go into the Penguins in there well. Dale Hunter to the right wing. Hunter brings it in deep, going behind the goal. Paul Stanley rip it around the boards and out, falling to the ice. 9:50 left here in the third period. Penguins 5, the Capitals 5. Calle Johansson's up on the play. Leading up right wing. Coffey goes back. The penalty is over. The Penguins are back to equal strength. The Capitals have it. Penguins in though. Johansson cutting for the neck, and he shoot it. He can't get it. They put it in right in front. Tim Berglund gets the go-ahead goal for the Capitals, and they now lead 6-5. Tim Berglund from right in front. A loose puck around the net, and the Capitals have the lead by 1. Now the Capitals with a big third period comeback again.
Coffey cleared the puck around the boards. It came right to Hunter. He put it down in the corner. They moved it right back out in front. And Stanton was reaching for that puck. I think Stanton might have put it in his own net. The puck came in front. It looked like Paul Stanton was reaching for the puck. No, it was Coffey. Is it Coffey who put it in his own net? Sure looked like it.
Calle Johansson will get the goal, his second. Ridley apparently has the assist, and it's now 6-5 Washington.
I'd like to get another look at that one.
Cicerelli and Hunter. The assist on the goal. Johansson gets it, and it gets by the Penguin netminder, Peter Angelo, and it's now a 6-5 Washington lead. And here come the Penguins now, trying to get back in tie the game. Stevens of Pittsburgh, long shot. Liud makes the save. They replace Liud with Beaupre. Put him in Paul Beaupre. And Liud has held the Penguins without a goal, and the Capitals have scored 3 times. On the right wing boards, Larry Murphy feeding the puck on the Capitals into Ronnie Francis. Francis now over to Kevin Stevens. Stevens pass it back, but Roberts got a stick on it, and it deflects to center ice. Roberts going back on the play to his own end now. And the puck to Joey Mullen. What a game this has been. The Capitals had all the advantage in the first period before the Penguins scored, then took the game away from the Capitals, and now, again, Washington's regained the momentum. Here's Stevens offside of the fans going to the Capital zone. And it's been all Washington here in period number 3. 8:41 to go.
We're going to take a lot of look at the goal that the Capitals got to put them ahead. The puck came out. Coffey was looking for it. And Calle Johansson did reach back on the backhand maneuver as he was drifting away from that puck. He whirled around and just put it towards the net and went right between the legs of Peter Angelo. That was a great individual effort, actually, by Calle Johansson.
I thought that Berglund might have touched it right in front to direct it home, but that was not the case, and Johansson cashes in. Capitals 6, Penguins 5. And the Penguins back on their heels right now, trying to make the motor go the other way. Lemieux out here for the Penguins. Can't get a handle on it. And Bob Airy to his own blue line. Rink line pass to Mark Recchi. Gave it away to Ron Langway. And here are the Capitals driving the puck back to the Penguins. And they have Ridley, Berglund, and Kelly Miller out here against the Lemieux line.
One thing the Penguins thought they were doing too much of in game 1 was fishing for that puck too much around the net, Mike, instead of taking the man. That was a good case of it there. Everybody looking down at their feet for the puck. Johansson was doing the same thing because he's in an offensive position, but you got to take the man in that situation and make sure nobody's getting that puck. Penguins aren't doing that right now, down low, and the Caps are making them behave that way, I think, by just putting good pressure on the Pens down low and around that cage.
Now the Pens down to 7:35 to go and trying to get the tying goal. Down the right wing, Loney coming to the Capitals end, goes to Lemieux, drop pass back, and here come the Capitals on a 3-on-1. Ridley with Kristich into Cicerelli, and the pass by Ridley's too far for Cicerelli, allowing the Penguins to get back. Well, they blew a great chance there. Now they're around the net. They turn and shoot it. It goes in, but the puck was waved off. The goal is waved off. Frankie's having trouble seeing that puck right now. It was under his pads and it squirted free and in the goal, but the whistle had sounded. And it did take some time after that before it did squirt across the line, but the goal judge is doing his job of turning the light on when that puck goes across the line. That's what he's supposed to do. The goal judge right there read the play, and he did exactly what he's called upon to do. But the whistle had sounded prior to that and quite a bit before. And Frankie just could not find the puck. He didn't know where it was.
Cicerelli is so dangerous coming out from behind that net. He scored a goal in overtime for the Capitals in their previous series with the Rangers to win a game, and same play, coming out and then just turning it right back to the net.
No goal. The whistle had blown. No goal.
And you could see it was still on the line when they came in and jammed it in after the whistle had sounded, so the goal does not count. 6-5 Washington here in period number 3. Caps with another big dramatic comeback. You rarely see teams that trail going to the third period win in this league, but the Caps have done it once, trying to do it a second time. 18 prior times in playoff competition, the Capitals have had 5 goals scored against them, Paul. Their record, 0-18. Here they are in front of the Penguin net, so they've rallied, trying to knock that number aside. And here's Larry Murphy on the move, going to the Penguins end down the right wing. Loney in front to Gillen with a backhand attempt miss. Loney is around the goal. He can't pull the trigger. Liut is rammed over, knocked down. Loose puck picked up near side by the Capitals, and Kevin Hatcher's one-on-one against Gordie Roberts. Less than 7 minutes to go in regulation. Hatcher pulls back. He'll whip it back towards the Penguins end. The Capitals, you would think, would probably play a little more defensive-minded. Here's Jágr trying to go through 4 men. He gets around 3, breaks in, but he's stripped and knocked down. Langway gets the puck. To Dale Hunter, and he'll snap it ahead. Here comes a 2-on-1 break for the Capitals. Cicerelli on the right wing. Jágr's after him, goes left side. A shot! Missed. Cicerelli in front. He can't turn it over to put it into the open net. And Coffey and the Penguins. The Penguins are pressing the attack here right now, trying to get a tying goal. And they are getting caught time and time again back. With only 1 man back, Jágr. Over to Stanton, will come to Coffey. Coffey cannot get into the zone, but Francis will. Ron Francis with a slap shot. That'll miss. Around to the right point. Stanton to the Penguins. Off the boards to Jágr. Gary Murray looks like a genius right now. Made a goaltending change. Liut has held the Penguins scoreless. Shot to the net. Peter Angelo stops it from the left wing circle and holds on to it. And Liut has been in the goal, and the Capitals have got that spark to get it turned around.
Paul Coffey pinched down the left wing boards and did not keep the puck in, and the Capitals bounced out of there with a 2-on-1. Cicerelli with a great opportunity, but he could not cash in on it as he cut to the net. Couldn't turn it over to the backhand. Peter Angelo was down too in that situation.
And the puck is slapped back into the Capitals end. 6-5 Washington. Penguins trying to rally, and they lose the puck at the point. Really coming back in the play, going to the Penguins end. Looks to pass across to Kelly Miller, but the Penguins break it up.
It's uncanny how the Capitals move that puck quickly and deep in their own end and up the boards to get it out.
Murphy's pass intercepted by Calle Johansson. And the Capitals held on to a 1-goal lead late in the 3rd period against the Penguins on a Wednesday night, then scored an empty netter. Stevens of Pittsburgh down deep. We still have a lot of time to go before that would manifest itself with the Penguins pulling their goaltender, you would think. And here are the Pens and the Caps in, but it's worked free by them and back to center, and they would have had another 2-on-1, and they will get it now. Hunter to the left side of Miller, and the Caps carry to the Penguins in, but the pass was just too far away from Miller, and he's tired. He'll come off. Stevens of Pittsburgh trying to beat Dale Hunter. Dump it off to Mark Recchi. Recchi on the right wing. Recchi has it, put it in front of the net. A bouncy puck. Penguins have had some dramatic comebacks against the Capitals this year in this building. Some big games. They won in overtime. Here's Recchi behind the net. Centers it for Lemieux. He's knocked down. Penalty coming up against the Capitals. Here's Coffey with it. Shooting the puck, and it missed. And around the boards right side to Paul Stanton. Center point to Recchi. Extra attacker on. Fires it. Deflected. Stop. Rebound. Who gets it? Penn score! They've tied the game at 6. From right in front, the Penguins have tied it. Oh, you'd have to be here to believe it. The Penguins have tied the game on a delayed penalty call, and the Penguins have made it 6-6.
And the guy who jumped on got the goal, Randy Gillen. Amazing. Gillen inserted into the lineup tonight. Recchi shot it. It hit something in front of Liut. Mario had to get out of the way. He was on the ice. He didn't want to get hit with a shot, so he stepped aside. And Gillen jumped on a loose puck and put it in. Randy Gillen.
So Randy Gillen joined the parade. They pulled Peter Angelo, and they made it 6-6 now. And a wild one here at the Civic Arena. I told you we've had some crazy games with these two clubs this year. Penguins twice have won in overtime against the Capitals. And coming from behind, the Caps trying to put on their own dramatic rush again. And now the Penguins have rebounded to tie the game. A backhander by Randy Gillen. You missed this one, shame on you for 6 weeks, boy. Both games have been absolutely unbelievable in the series to date, and it's not over yet. John Bruce and the Penguins in. Shoot it towards the net. Loose puck. Look out. Here's Stephen Leach. He can't put it in. Now they drive it in towards the net. Peter Angelo stopped that. The Capitals almost took the lead again. And you almost have that feeling, Paul, the way this game is going in regulation. Whoever gets the puck last may win this hockey game in regulation. I don't know. They're both getting great scoring chances.
I'll take my chances with Stephen Leach with that puck down there in that area. Better than Dino Cicerelli. And then Frank Pietrangelo this time able to get a hold of that loose puck around the net. He is having problems finding that puck when it's down by his feet.
4:18 to go in regulation. And a goal by Gillen from Recchi and Stanton. Recchi's got a 4.9 for the Penguins. All be wasted if the Penguins lose here. It doesn't really matter how many you get. It's what the final score is. So the Penguins are trying to rebound. and get a victory here to even the series at 1 apiece.
You gotta love it for Randy Gillen. His step on, he hasn't been out there much tonight. Killing penalties is about it. He jumped on as the extra attacker and found a loose puck and put it past Mike Liut.
Boston now leading Montreal 3-2 in the third period at Boston. Montreal goal scoring. Courtnall scored to tie it, but Davy Christian put him ahead 3-2.
Before the game today, Bob Johnson talking about it being a team game, and Randy Gillen just showed us what he meant.
Well, the Canadians have just tied that game. Now it's 3-3 in the third period. Here it's 6-6, Pittsburgh and Washington. And Brian Trottier weaves his way up to the Capitals line. Right side to Recchi. Recchi pulls in, looking to shoot. It does, and stopped made by Liut off his right pad. Langway gets to the puck. This game has gone back and forth all night long as far as momentum. And the Penguins trying to regain it again. Recchi put it behind the net to Mario Lemieux. Lemieux of the Penguins can't make a play back in front. And it's snapped off the boards and back to center ice to Mike Ridley. Ridley going to the Penguins in against Gordy Roberts. Recchi's all over Kelly Miller as he goes towards the goal. Bork to the Penguins coming up with it. Bork around Lemieux with 3:40 to go in regulation. Mario just puts it up in the air. It'll bounce through into the Capital zone. Calle Johansson shoots it back to the right wing corner. Pittsburgh territory. With the puck, Francis of the Pens around the horn. Looks for Mullen. Johansson came in to pinch in. He will keep it alive. Now they feed it in the slot area between the circles, but Paul Stanton is able to corral it. Around the boards of Joey Mullen. On with an outlet pass to Kevin Stevens. 6-6 the score. Here in the third period. Stevens on the rush. Comes down with a wrist shot. That's stopped by Liut. Francis was hauled down left point. Coffey shoots it back towards the net. Liut knocks that wide. And in front, Francis was upended by Stephen Leach. Still in the near corner, Kevin Hatcher. And he flips it out of danger back down to the Penguin zone. Stand with less than 3 minutes to go in regulation. On the right wing to Coffey, and it's going to be called back on a 2-line offside pass. Boston-Montreal game, Stéphane Richer has tied the game for the Canadians. Wild hockey tonight, 3-3 in Boston, 6-6 here. And here's the puck lifted back into the Capital zone, 2:40 to go in regulation. Washington takes command of it. They send it ahead to Dino Ciccarelli. Out of Dmitry Kristich. He's into the Penguins in, trying to get around. Murphy comes down, going behind the net, centers it in front of him. Went right by everybody. Penguins have a 3-on-2 if they hurry back. Yager with Loney. And the man throwing away. Yager's around the man, cuts to the net, his shot! Stopped by Liut. He has that puck in his shoulder and keeps Yager off the board. Oh, what a save by Mike Liut. Oh, Yager, I'm sure, thought he had himself the go-ahead goal there, but Mike Liut, a beautiful save by the Washington goaltender to stop Jaromir Yager. Was Yager flying down that slot.
And Yager finally gave himself enough room to get a good shot away. He was coming with a full head of steam through the neutral zone, carrying that puck. And he decided to pull that puck between the legs, just drag it around Iafrate of all people, and he shot it right at the arm of Mike Liut. He pinned that puck between his arm and his body, and right in the 7-hole. What a save by Liut on Yager.
Well, that's the save of the night right there. Mike Liut stopping Jaromir Yager.
What a rush. That was the play of the night, too, from an offensive standpoint. And Yager made a great play going the other way earlier in this period to break up a centering pass.
Well, every shot now right on the line. It's almost like overtime right now. You just feel that sensation. The team that scores is going to win this hockey game at this point now. With 2:21 to go in regulation. Recchi with Bork and Lemieux, and the sweat dripping very heavily off the face of Mike Liut as he stares out. Right left wing circle, Capitals in. It'll be Hunter against Mark Recchi. Recchi is a guy that won a game in overtime for the Penguins. Paul Stanton also won one. And they're both on the ice right now. And Recchi and Hunter are waved out. And Dave Tippett has to come on to get the assignment against Mario Lemieux. Lemieux won the draw, left point. Recchi over to Coffey, shoots it, and it went right by the shoulder of Mike Liut. Took a weird bounce off the corner. Liut comes over. Where's he going to go with it? Look out, he almost turned around and gave that puck to Lemieux. Off the boards, Recchi to the right side to Stan. Stumbles. Looking, though. Put it back in the corner, and it hit his skate, and coming right to Calle Johansson. Back in the 3-on-2 break for the Capitals. Calle Johansson storms his way to the Penguins in a bad pass. Cut off by Coffey, and the Penguins hurry along. Here's Lemieux taking the pass against Hatcher. Cuts around him. Moves down. Looking. Shoots, and a stop by Liut again. Oh, Lemieux almost scored there, but a good skate save by Liut. Recchi banging around the board. Here's a Penguin play in the zone as Recchi, as both Lemieux and Hatcher went down. The Capitals Go right back on the attack with the Penguins in. Dino Ciccarelli with a 6'6" left side. Got a man open. Tippett shooting. Blocked by Coffey, the Penguin defenseman.
Coffey's made 2 great defensive plays here in just the last minute or so.
What a stop again. Liut made on Mario Lemieux with a skate. And Lemieux comes up. He's tired on the shift, but he keeps going. Back with the Capitals in. Drop pass to Recchi. Now to Lemieux one more time. Mario going to Roberts. Pulls back. Back to Lemieux. Shoots it off the side of the net. We have a minute 20 to go in regulation off the right wing boards. Here's Murphy of the Penguins. Murphy comes down going behind the net. All the way around to the near boards. The Capitals trying to slow him down, and they do finally. And they come back, and they've got a 3-on-2. Remember, Lemieux is out here. He's dead tired. Miller the right side, but an offside call against the Capitals.
Not only that, but Murphy was the guy who was in deep on the play, so he was trapped coming back.
Both guys were exhausted. A minute 7 to go. Lemieux coming off, and you can see just how out of gas he is right now.
And that was not Joe Bag of Donuts that he was trying to go around either. That was Kevin Hatcher. What a great play by Mario Lemieux to cut into the slot on the forehand, take the shot, and Liut almost allowed that to go between the pads, but it went off his pad and harmlessly just rolled off to the left of the cage. So Liut stopping the 2 big guns for the Penguins, the guys who can really make things happen one-on-one, make the great individual play, Yager and Lemieux.
A minute 7 left here in the third period. Ronnie Francis with Mullen and Stevens. And the 2 defensemen will be Gordy Roberts and Larry Murphy. Capitals counter with Palanca's line with Leach and Bruce. And it's gone back and forth this game. Oh, a long shot by Johansson. Almost got by Pietrangelo. It hit his stick. Karam's over to the near boards. Roberts of the Penguins pulling back in behind his own net. And the Penguin blue liner pressured by Stephen Leach. Less than a minute to go in the regulation. Pass by Stevens cross rink off Johansson's stick, and that hops up into the seats with 45 seconds to go here in the third period. You talk about a title fight tonight. This had it all. This is maybe better than that fight's going to be.
You know what's interesting too, Mike, is that the Capitals, if you ask every guy, you'd say, well, we don't want to get into a shootout with Pittsburgh. We're never going to win game 7-6 or anything like that against them. We're only going to be able to win 3-2. Somebody's going to win this game 7-6, I think.
And here is Berglund now stepping back, and Roberts takes the puck, and he'll wind it down the boards into the Capital zone. This will be an icing call. Icing will be called against the Penguins with 32 seconds left in regulation. They'll go all the way back into the Penguin zone to the left of Frank Pietrangelo. If the Capitals should win this game, you know they've got all the momentum in the series and going their way. If the Penguins win, it's maybe a carryover going to the third game in Washington.
I'll tell you, you look back at that Jersey series in game 2 and why it was so critical. The Penguins were down. They were in overtime. It was a game like this that it just built up and built up. The intensity was so great, and it was one of those nail biters. And with the Penguins scoring the goal, it just seemed to give them a big lift. And that's so much hinges on a game like this because there's so much emotion involved in it.
But that lasted one game before the Devils came back and won game 4. So it's amazing the way these series go, the way emotions go up and down so quickly. Here's Mullen moving the puck to center. And the eventual thing is the team has to win 4-7 games. Francis down the right side. Going to the Capitals in. He shoots it in the corner. Now 17 to go in the third period. Out to Mullen. Mullen turns and shoots it off the side of the goal. Mullen waited. He went back on it. Now gets it over to the open man. Stevens turns around. Stevens knocked down by Johansson. Here's Francis behind the net. 5 seconds to go. Capitals working to the near corner, but it looks like we're going to overtime. 1 second left, and we will go to sudden death overtime.
Penguins Classic TV on FSN Pittsburgh is brought to you by the Mountaineer Racetrack and Gaming Resort. We'll leave the slots on for you. By Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. By Dodge, grab life by the horns. By Penn Telecom, seriously dedicated to business communications. And by the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Get a better read on Pittsburgh sports in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Greg, I think if you went into this series and the Penguins were into this game tonight and the Penguins said we were going to score 6 goals, you obviously would think you'd win the game. I think the Capitals would probably have said the same thing. Why do you suppose it has been that end-to-end kind of wild, high-scoring game? Obviously, special teams have had an effect on everything.
Yeah, they have. And frankly, the goaltenders have played fairly well. There could be a lot more goals scored. Jaromir Jagr made a great play, end-to-end rush, and Liut made a great save on it. I don't know if he knew he made the save or not because he was looking for the puck, but he made the save nevertheless. And I don't know why it's been end-to-end. I hope we play a lot more solid defensively this period.
Well, Mike Liut standing on his head, and the Penguins again continuing to get tremendous chances, and you got to give the Washington Capitals all the credit in the world. They were down by 2 goals going to the third period. Dino Ciccarelli, just an indomitable spirit on that team. A guy went to the net and took a beating to score goals, Bob, and he was kind of the spiritual leader, I thought, of this hockey team in the third period.
Well, he was, Staggy. He was certainly a pit bull, Dino Ciccarelli, and he thrived at being hit. The more you hit him, the better he would get.
So why'd you hit him so much?
Because I'd get better when I was involved. Somebody told me that a long time ago. Bob Berry, as a matter of fact, told me you got to get involved, and I did. But Dino Ciccarelli, I played with him in Detroit, and he was one of the best players, maybe the best player I've ever seen in a perimeter, a 3-foot perimeter, in the crease, around that crease area. I don't know if there's anybody any better.
Well, we've talked about Tim Kerr from Philadelphia before. He was a big guy that would set up that tripod in front of the net. Well, Dino was a little bit different, where he wanted to get in with the mix. He didn't mind mixing it up with a guy like Ulf Samuelsson if he was going to get paid at the end with a goal or a deflection. He was unbelievable at that, and he almost picks up this whole Washington team, throws it on his back, and almost wins this game single-handedly.
And I'll tell you, things were getting pretty ugly in front of that Penguins net. I mean, the Penguins almost had another goal go in. They blew a quick whistle with the puck lying there on the goal line, but then here comes the guy that you guys used to call the Gilly Goat, Randy Gillen.
We had a lot of names for him, and Borky, you were sitting beside him on the bench. Take it through.
It's just phenomenal. You see Randy sliding in there underneath the radar like a stealth bomber. Just goes in and finds that loose puck, and I tell you, the whole place was shocked at Randy Gillen. You even see Mario was just like, "What, are you kidding me? What's Randy Gillen doing on the ice?" But there was a delayed penalty. Mario actually drove to the net and drew a penalty,
right.
And Frank Pietrangelo drove to the net. Randy Gillen was on the bench, and we all stood up and it was like, who's going to go? Who's going to go? We figured that
supposed to be the next center, right?
Which would have been Ronnie Francis at the time. Nobody was ready to go. As Frankie came to the bench, Randy Gillen took it upon himself because he was a guy when he was on the bench, Bobby. Remember,
right.
He was always yapping, always in the game. So he knew when Frankie came to the bench, heck, if nobody's going, right. I'm going.
And even what's more impressive, Borky, is he didn't play in the second period and played maybe one shift in the first period. He had been sitting there the whole game. And he has enough presence to jump on the ice like that and put the puck in the net.
So it's kind of funny when you think about it. Here's Bob Johnson. Paul Coffey says he should shorten his bench, so he does. So now Randy Gillen's not playing much, so he takes it upon himself. I'll show you shortening the bench. So he jumps on, he scores a huge goal, ties the game at 6. And now we're going to what is a tremendous overtime period. And you'll see that the Penguins in this overtime period are not about to sit back. They're going after the Washington Capitals to try to get Game 2 of this playoff series.
Penguins are 5-3 in overtime play, including a win over New Jersey in their last overtime game. And the Washington Capitals in overtime have a record of 8-5. And they have won 6 straight. The last time they lost in overtime was the 18th of April in '87, the longest overtime game in the history of the NHL against the Islanders, losing 3-2. Since that time, they've rattled off 6 straight. And here's the play underway. Sudden death overtime, and now Iafrate back on the Capitals' end.
Well, that's good to know.
Iafrate with that puck. It went 4 overtimes before that game was decided. Lemieux in the Capitals' end left side. Over to Bob Berry. Recky's in front of the net. He'll be looking for the hat trick. It could end it. Around the net, Recky shoots, and he just missed the goal. He scored an overtimer to beat the Capitals. And isn't it ironic that the Penguins are facing a goaltender that 10 years ago, almost to the date, that they lost to in St. Louis in Game 5 of a playoff series against the St. Louis Blues, when Mike Crombeen scored a winning goal against Greg Millen. Lemieux into the Capitals' end. Right side, Recky's there. A shot! Saved mainly out again from 45 feet. And the Capitals come rambling back. They go to center ice to Berglund. Berglund will shoot it in. Penguins going for the kill early, it looks like. They got the big guns on. They couldn't cash in on the first 2 shots. Coffey and the Penguins going to the Capitals' blue line, and he'll dump it in.
I think Recky's first chance was stopped by Liut. I think he got a skate on him.
Francis put it in front, and it went right by Kevin Stevens. Paul Stan shoots it deflected. It comes over to Kevin Stevens. Wrists it wide of the goal. Right side, Stan comes on. He shoots it back in front, and it's deflected by Liut. Mounted of the Penguins back around behind the net. Turns, looks, shoots, and he hit a stick of Liut. Off his stick and up into the seats. And the face-off will be in the Capital zone.
Well, the only thing that scares me about this, Mike, the Penguins coming out and throwing everything at Liut, and Washington hasn't had their chance yet. And sometimes in overtime, you get a lot of chances at one end, and then the other team comes up and they score on their first chance or maybe second chance. But Penguins need to cash in if they're going to be pouring everything at Liut. You just hope that they do it soon.
That did not hit Liut. Take a hit the defenseman who went diving out to put the stick down and block the shot by Joey Mullen.
I think Liut got his left skate on Recky's first chance. And then he stopped Recchi again with a hard wrist shot. Recchi can really let that rip when he's skating in full stride. He's got a great wrist shot to catch his goaltenders by surprise.
The other game also in overtime tonight, the Canadiens and Bruins.
This was Recchi's first chance. I think he may have shot it wide. It's hard to tell from that angle if it went off the toe of Liut or just wide of the net.
And Ron Francis on the ice with Joe Mullen and Kevin Stevens. And the Capitals counter here with Dale Hutter. Face off to the left of Mike Liut. Liut in that game against the Penguins with St. Louis. Both he and Miller were just unconscious. Liut actually stopped Mark Johnson on the second overtime, coming down, I believe, on a breakaway attempt, and stopped him just at the beginning of it. And again, the Blues went on to win that game. He was phenomenal that night, as was Millen, and it was decided by a goal by Crombie. And here is Kevin Hatcher trying to come out. Whip it ahead to the blue line, not out of the zone. Francis got it over to Stevens now, trying to look for Mullen, but it's cut off by the Capitals. Dino Ciccarelli. He'll step it down the boards around to the left wing corner. Dave Tippett has it for the Caps. Stevens took it away from him, and it comes outlet now to Joey Mullen. On the attack to Ron Francis. Right wing to Kevin Stevens. A 6-6 tie in overtime. Stevens turns around. A backhand shot, and Liut got a stick on that easily. Right behind the Capitals goal. Loose puck. Francis going for it. Ronnie Francis backdoor it, but the Capitals are there to break up the attack. And playing defense in his own end was Dale Hunter. Line to the head of center netter, Dino Ciccarelli. Long shot deflected. Goes in on Peter Angelo. Frankie will leave it for Gordy Roberts. We're 2 minutes into the overtime period. The first one. Of course, if they do not score in this overtime period, they would clean the ice and go to another one. An icing call here against the Penguins. They shot it up ice. Penguins have had have had 3 shots in the period. The Capitals with 1 in the overtime. These two clubs will meet in Game 3 at Washington. This could be very pivotal right now, the way this game's going. I mean, Penguins lose, the heart taken out of them, and go to Washington down 2-0.
But I mean, so much hinges on it that it can be really a key game in the series.
Labanca matches it up against Brian Trottier. And the Penguins do come up with it. Larry Murphy held it from behind by John Bruce, but the Penguins do ramble back the other way. Troy Loney going to the Capitals line, and he'll dump it in. Liut had a bounce off his stick. He steps out of the goal, though. Now looks to backhand it away, and he'll leave it for Langway. That's a wise move there. Let him clear it out. And he will. Well, Leach on the right wing. Going to the Penguins end. Leach with a long shot. That almost got by Peter Angelo, but he got it with a glove and held on. Leach trying to surprise Frank Pietrangelo with a long-range shot. Frankie just got down to glove that one and hold on. Penguins have had some dramatic overtime games. Who can forget the one in 1982 when the Islanders beat the Penguins 4-3 in overtime, when John Tonelli scored the overtime goal after the Penguins led 3-1. Late in the third period in that series, it was tied 2-2. The Islanders won that game and went on to win the Stanley Cup once again. That was the hardest series they had that year.
It's usually the way it works. You heard the players talking about that first series is always the toughest. What they mean by that is, Paul Coffey said that after the Game 7 win. He said the first series is always the toughest. He says it's not going to get any easier, though. It's going to get harder. But what he meant was the underdog factor is gone. You're expected to win that first series, so it's that much tougher for you psychologically to get over the hump against an underdog. Things tend to even out once you get further along in the series.
Face-off Penguins in to the left of Peter Angelo. Mike Ridley of the Capitals against Ron Francis of Pittsburgh, who was on the ice with Bob Airy of the Pens and Mark Recchi. Face-off drop, Capitals control, right point. Johansson with a shot blocked enough, but it will be Bob Airy. Looks to play it away to Mark Recchi. And Recchi has a knack of coming up with big goals for the Penguins in crucial situations. 9 game winners on the year, and here's Recchi behind the net now on the Capitals end. Looks for Lemieux in front, who's on. Can't get it to him. Around the boards, it goes to Tim Berglund. Berglund to center to Ridley, and Lemieux snaps that away, and he grabs the puck and fires it away to the Capitals' left wing corner. Johansson of Washington lost the puck. Here's Recchi giving the puck to Lemieux right in front, one-on-one. He turns, shoots, scores. No, he couldn't put it in. He had a chance right there, and Liut stopped Mario Lemieux right in front. It looked as though he had him at his mercy on the backhand attempt, and Liut robbed him. Here's Kelly Miller going to the Penguins in offside. Boy, it looked like Lemieux had that one tucked in his pocket, and Liut somehow got over to make the save on Mario Lemieux. What a big save by Mike Liut.
And he stopped the rebound, too. Lemieux was parked in front. Maybe he had too much time, if you know what I mean. He had it on the stick. Liut was set. Lemieux tried to backhand it, but didn't get it over his pad. He had the pad out there, and then he made an unbelievable save on a rebound shot by Paul Coffey. Absolutely incredible goaltending by Mike Liut. but Mario went to the backhand, and Lemieux just guessed right. He had his right pad out, and Lemieux couldn't get it up, but the rebound came out. It was Coffey who took the first shot going by the net. Lemieux made the save, and Recchi couldn't get a hold of it on the second crack. Penguins have had about 5 great scoring chances already.
And pushing it long over the head of Liut around the left side, and it'll be Frontier put it behind the net. Here is Yager, belted hard by Langway. Loney, and he is belted hard from behind by Kristich as the hitting picks up now. Yager trying to work himself free around Langway. Langway's got him tied up. And that's about what you have to do to tie up that big guy Yager. Capitals trying to clear, and they can't. Right point, it goes to Stan. Well, it should be his Loney right in front. Give it to him on the deflection, and stop by Liut. He had Loney right in front, and he did the right thing. He feathered it through, and Loney deflected it. Langway's knocking people down in front of that net, and he'll get away with it here as the Capitals race back to center. Hatcher on the left wing. Look for Cesarelli, and the Capitals are offside. Rod Langway knocking out anything that moves like a bulldozer in a construction yard in that Capital zone.
Paul Stanton won a game for the Penguins in overtime against the Capitals during the regular season. He just threw one to the net that went off a stick, and Liut had to be sharp to make the save on that. Great concentration as that puck came to the net.
It actually went off 2 sticks, one of the Capitals and also Loney's on the way in. Mike Liut standing tall right now for the Capitals.
Liut's got a mustache. He looks like, what's his name? The comedian. Look at his name, and I can't think of it. Anyway.
42-41 the shots. The Capitals have outshot the Penguins. Pavelka at center ice here outside of the Penguin blue line against Ron Francis. 12:41 to go in the first overtime period. Game tied at 6.
Charlie Chaplin is the guy he looks like. He got a shot at Liut's mustache. It's hilarious.
And the Pens win the draw. Stanton giving the puck back to Paul Coffey. On to Stanton again. Wristed up to the center red line area. Mike Lawler pokes it through back into the Penguin zone and behind the net. Peter Angelo. Giving that puck for Stanton. They'll spin it back to center, but Lawler cut it off for the Caps, and they drive it right back in. The game's starting to settle down a little bit now. Both teams very early went for the win. There's Coffey, though. He'll race back to the Capitals line, comes down, shoots it right on, and Liut makes that save. Snapped away by the Capitals on the rebound to center. He was trying to set it up again. And it goes through to Iafrate in the Cap zone. He avoids a check by Ron Francis. Iafrate trying to get around Mullen. He does that, too. Iafrate to the left wing. Gets around a third man. Iafrate goes against the fourth, but he can't beat him. And Mullen turns on the counterattack. Penguins hurry it up. They got a man open left wing. It's Stevens. Francis has it. He goes to Stevens. He's there. A shot. Hey! Shoots and scores! Kevin Stevens wins it in overtime for the Penguins. And ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. The goal. Kevin Stevens, whose nickname is Artie, picks up a big goal for the Penguins to even this series. And his 4th of the playoffs, and the Penguins, Iafrate, who was the hero in Game 1, ends up being the guy that looks kind of tough here because he was in deep, got trapped. The Penguins came back and scored.
He got caught up in the Penguins game. It's something he said he didn't want to do before Game 1. But Ron Francis calmly carried that puck to the neutral zone, came across the line, took a look, faked a shot, and then went over to Stevens. Liut came across, but Kevin Stevens banged it off the right post into the net to make it 7-6 and send the Penguins home and to Washington tied at 1.
So Stevens buries that shot, and the big train. And Francis faked the shot first and then went to Stevens, and he was able to wrist it by Liut.
I thought he banged it off the post. It hit that bar at the back of the net. It came back out. Put it right in the middle of the net.
All right, final score tonight, the Penguins 7 and the Capitals 6, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Wow, what a finish. The Penguins outshoot the Capitals 9-4 in the overtime period. I always worry about those situations, and you heard me say it on the broadcast. You know, when you're getting all those chances in overtime, it's not going in. You're thinking they're going to come at the other end, and you're just going to get their one chance, and they're going to score. But you guys kept putting on the pressure. Liut was making the saves, and finally you're able to break through in a tremendous play. by Ronnie Francis and Kevin Stevens.
Well, as you see this one unfold, you're going to see Ronnie Francis. We talked about fake shots throughout the game by Paul Coffey and making feeds, but Ronnie Francis, he was known for his fake passes, fake shot, and then feeding players. And Ally Afraidy gets caught up ice, and here go the Penguins on the rush with Paul Coffey.
Well, you see Koff here. He really makes this play. He moves up, and I think it's Stephen Leach is taking Koff. And if Koff does not move up on that play, I think Stephen Leach breaks off and he takes Kevin Stevens, and that play never happens. But because Koff was so aware, jumped up on the play, it opened up that passing lane for Ronnie Francis to fake the shot, open up those hips, and slide a perfect pass to Kevin Stevens, and the big boy does not miss from there.
No, he doesn't. And you see Mike Liut had to hold himself on the left post and then had to slide across to take Kevin Stevens, a big Artie shot. Artie put it right inside the post because he had to hold his position on the Ron Francis fake. Just those little plays, Steggy.
Well, you know, there's a different brand of hockey that you play at home and on the road, no matter what, because I think you tend to be a little bit more careful about your defensive coverage when you get on the road. But look at the scores of this series. Once this series reverted over to Washington, and you'll see the difference in the way these games were played. I mean, you know, in this first game, the Capitals win 4-2. Then the Penguins have to win in overtime 7-6. Now look at the scores, guys. You know, you guys just shut them right down after that.
Well, I don't.
One other thing, Staggy, is that was right after a very emotional 7-game series with New Jersey. And those first 2 games, I think we were a little bit still shell-shocked from that. And I think that overtime win brought us back down to reality, got us back into playoff mode, and we just shut the door on Washington. And never won a game after we won that overtime game.
And I think maybe we try to do too much on home ice. You get on the road, you play a little bit better brand of defensive hockey. I mean, and the Caps really had a lot of great defensive players, not to mention people that play positionally defense, but what about their offensive players? Kelly Miller, Pavanka, Mike Ridley.
Sure.
I mean, you go on and on. They had a lot of intangibles on their hockey club. When I watched this game and saw what they had in their lineup, Steggy, and realized we beat that kind of hockey club, looking back now, you know, you want to feel sorry for them. You kind of do. You know, you didn't at the time, but they had tremendous hockey clubs through that era of the Penguin Stanley Cups. They just couldn't get over that hump.
And by the way, Frank Pietrangelo, he had done what he could do for the Penguins. That was the end of the road for him. He did play a little bit in the Stanley Cup Finals when Tom Barrasso got hurt again, but Barrasso came back and finished off that series, and he might have been one of the big reasons, too, while the goals against was cut down there in those final games of the series, which the Penguins won in 5 games. Guys, thanks a lot for coming in again. Borky, thanks for the memories, too. It's always fun to watch and certainly to reminisce with you.
Steggy, you were good in that game, too.
Yeah, that was one of my better games. You know, Mike didn't have to correct me or anything. It was great. And you know what? We have another run and gun special for you coming up next week on Penguins Classic TV. It's the Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks, not the Stanley Cup Finals in '92. No, this is a game that was played on March 12th of '89, and Mario had 6 points, and Tom Barrasso made 57 saves. Penguins win the game in Chicago Stadium. It is classic, and I mean classic, Penguins run and gun hockey. That's coming up next week on Penguins Classic TV. For Bob Arian and Phil Bork, I'm Paul Steigerwald. Good night, everybody.